And welcome to our audience for DataVision. We have an unprecedented panel today where we have Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, Google, and IBM, the four leading cloud companies worldwide, discussing accelerating cloud adoption through a new framework available for everyone in the marketplace called CDMC. So to set a context for everyone, there's some significant challenges and opportunities, no doubt. Everyone is seeking to get the advantage of cloud within their businesses. Hyperscalability, self-serve analytics, data sharing with other companies, with data obfuscation, many different opportunities, but also at the same time facing key challenges. In fact, 93% of firms use two or more cloud providers. So hybrid cloud, multi-cloud is the reality for most companies. And then there's significant challenges to meet regulatory obligations, confidentiality provisions that vary by jurisdiction. So the council was approached, and we'll get more context in a moment from our co-chair, Ali Beige, to form a work group to build out a framework to help define best practices for a hybrid cloud world, to align key controls to meeting regulatory obligations, and leveraging the work that the council has done with DCAM, the Data Management Capability Assessment Model, but taking the concept of a scoreable, auditable framework into the world of a hybrid cloud. So with further context, let me introduce our co-chair, Ali Beige with London Stock Exchange Group, or LSEG. He's a distinguished engineer, head of architecture, data, and analytics. And very importantly, over the last year and a half, as this framework has been built, he is the co-chair of the CDMC workgroup. Ali, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. I want to talk to you today about the CDMC and how it came to pass and how the EDM Council have been so helpful in organising this. The CDMC initiative actually started in 2020 while I was a distinguished engineer in the Centre of Excellence for Data at Morgan Stanley, a global and systemically important bank. I spent several years working with developers who were moving sensitive workloads onto cloud, but we found cloud providers didn't have a mature data control framework available that teams could just use off the shelf. So we'd written some guidelines that encapsulated all of the data governance, data technology, and data management policies that Morgan Stanley was operating under. And we turned those policies into a checklist that developers could use as they delivered their cloud projects, the 14 things you had to remember to do. We approached the cloud providers and asked them to automate these controls in the same way as we had them automated for on-prem applications and on-prem data. They said they could do that, of course, we're a big customer, but it would be slow if one customer asked for all 14 controls to be implemented at one time. So we thought perhaps if we could get the industry together to ask with one voice at the same time for the same 14 features, that things could move a little faster. So Google, Calibra, Capco, LSEG, and Morgan Stanley all approached the EDM Council to help create a working group that would take these 14 principles and open source them and share them with the industry to see if other systemically important banks and other financial services firms had the same problems. We created a group that now has over 100 participating companies contributing to the CDMC initiatives. We've got more than half of the world's systemically important banks. We have the largest cloud service providers and a set of more specialized technology and professional partners who have deep experience in providing some of these controls. And we've been working together from May 2020 for 18 months to come up with this control framework. We're also engaging with financial services regulators to share what we've done and deep dive with many of them on how this will de-risk public cloud adoption use in the industry and how it might help them. The framework was published in September 2021 and is available now as a free download from the EDM Council website. There's also supporting training courses and certification from our authorized partner program. And we're expecting this year to keep on extending CDMC into new, more offensive areas like analytics platforms and potentially into other industries as well. But what is CDMC? So let me just take you through the 6 areas. We have a core of CDMC around governance and accountability. We also cover cataloging and classification, accessibility and data usage tracking, data protection and privacy, data lifecycle and retention, data and technology architecture, which includes commercial best practices with data. And inside those 6 capabilities are 14 key, 6 components are 14 capabilities and multiple sub-capabilities within them that define what good looks like for data in each of these areas. The CDMC specification goes into a lot of detail, but we wanted to be able to automate these 14 controls so that as you use them on cloud, you don't have to worry about whether you remember to switch them all on and how they operate together. So we've pulled out these key controls that can be automated, and we're now working with the CSPs in partnership to show how these can be automated and become part of your always-on control environment. So what CDMC is trying to achieve, well, there are different benefits for different participants. If you're in the industry, this is a control framework that allows you to trust that your cloud implementations are going to not expose data incorrectly, and that you can create best practice data governance conditions for data. It also gives you a way of comparing your capabilities against the rest of the market and what the baseline of best practices are. If you're a cloud service provider or another application or technology platform provider, it gives you a framework that describes what the world's largest financial services firms are looking for in your data platforms and how they're expected to work together, as most of these systemically important banks need to use multiple providers. If you're a consultant or a system integrator, it gives you a set of frameworks and terminologies that you can use across multiple different areas of the industry and with multiple different clients. And if you're a regulator, it shows where we're focusing our attention as an industry and how we can automate these controls to make sure that they are indeed always on. Mike, I'll hand back to you for the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Ali. And also thank you for your inspiration as being one of the key executives to help us launch this in the beginning days. And the contributions as well from Morgan Stanley were greatly appreciated to kick off this project with a starting point, and then many others came on board to make this the next level. So let's go ahead and introduce our panelists with no further ado. Welcome to Mike Flasco, General Manager with Microsoft. Hi, Mike. How are you? Also, welcome to Balaji Gopalan, Principal Solutions Architect at AWS. Welcome to Evren Uric, who is the Director of Product Management at Google Cloud. And as well to Tony Giordano, Senior Partner and Vice President at IBM. Welcome, gentlemen. Somewhat unprecedented to have all of you in the same panel together. I'm going to turn off my screen share so we can have a dialogue at this point. And for our attendees, our audience today, if you have any questions as we're going along, please put them into the Socio chat. We'll try to do those towards the end of this panel discussion, and any that we cannot answer during the real-time event, we will answer afterwards. So please type them in as you have them along the way. So let's start with a first question. Why CDMC? And why did you sit at the same table together? So with that, let me start first with Balaji with AWS. Balaji, what was your take on why be involved and why do this?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Yeah, when we start actually discussing with Ali about data management on the cloud, it soon became apparent that this was not just a Morgan Stanley and AWS conversation. It was much broader and relevant at the industry level. So when we heard that CDMC was going to bring that all together, it made total sense. And then to answer your question, like having an industry framework is quite important because it helps us standardize on terminology and requirements. In fact, as part of the working group, we got like direct feedback from multiple customers. We are also able to share best practices between customers, cloud service providers, and also technology vendors. I think overall, the forum was able to bring the collective minds, the leadership, the expertise that exist in the industry towards defining the requirements and like capabilities around data management on the cloud.
Excellent. So Balaji, I thank you for your point of view. I'm going to go over now to Evren with Google Cloud. Evren, welcome your perspective. Why CDMC and why sit at the same table?
Hello to everybody globally. Thank you for joining us. So let's break it into those two. First, why CDMC? So if you look at it, the industry, I've been in the cloud evangelism world for a long time, and the need for guidance and guardrails was really, really important. So the industry needed this for getting folks to cloud fast and safely. So we have seen the cloud acceleration. It's skyrocketing, right? All sizes of companies, industries, they're sort of driving their digital transformation, data transformation through cloud. And the speed at which these businesses are able to respond to changes is somewhat different, right? Some are able to adapt, some are not able to adapt. So the CDMC framework is a great resource for these companies as they continue to think through and evolve and accelerate their transformation and how they reimagine their businesses through the leveraging of the power of the real-time data and the guardrails of CDMC is really, really important for it. Why collaborate? Well, I've been through several industry-wide initiatives in my career. And the best ones have been the ones where industry-leading players, like the panel members in here, and users who collaborate to drive these industry best practices. Because this collaboration really brings the best out of everything. Mm-hmm. Our working group included a wide range of companies and professionals where you guys, Mike, did a great job as the neutral body, bringing together, finding the best in class. And that actually helped us drive this high degree of expertise to produce a very relevant and comprehensive framework, both for protecting the sensitive data and implementing the guidelines and controls for the businesses who are trying to really apply it. This collaboration was really fantastic. And from financial sector to other consultancies to the healthcare industry to wherever you take it, this is really going to be beneficial. That's why we're excited. That's why we're here.
Everin, thank you. And for our audience listening in, some interesting statistics about the overall process. Yes, each of the major cloud companies you see on this panel put in a half a dozen or more people throughout the project at various points. And in addition to that, as Ali mentioned, over 100 companies together. In fact, there were 750 meetings, 45,000 person hours in the construction of CDMC, which is valued just at professional time at over $5 million in contributions by industry to build this comprehensive framework. So Tony, I guess over to you as to your take on, why CDMC and why sit at the table together?
Well, first, I want to thank you and the panel and everybody who joined to come out today. It's always great to discuss what's going on in the industry and just how important we see this from an IBM perspective. We at IBM, we've talked a lot in the last 18, 24 months about the concept of the hybrid cloud. This means on almost every client I'm working on, I'm working with either Google or Microsoft or AWS and more, all of them at the same time. So when you think of hybrid cloud, you're thinking about your data estates across all those different things. And I've really been very blessed by having the opportunity to work in this industry for a couple of decades. It's these collaborations, as my colleague just said, that really make the difference for many of our clients, is the ability to work together. So we're less competitors and more colleagues and brothers in arms to make sure we get the best value out of this data. And the final reason why this is important is this. Having done this in a long time, you start to see it, you see both successes and failures. Love AWS, love Microsoft, love Google, love the IBM technologies. I'm actually a big fan of the open source. And I've seen all of them fail at clients. And it is rarely, if ever, with the technology. It's because they don't set up the right operating processes. They don't have the right procedures to build this correctly. So what this council has done is built a framework that says, here's what success looks like. It's vendor neutral, but it is proven. This is how we make you successful. So these are the reasons why we at IBM are so thrilled and honored to participate here.
Great. Thank you, Tony. And Mike, your perspective, definitely welcome it.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. Again, first off, thank you to yourself and John and Ollie for guiding everybody through this. What a wonderful experience it's been for Microsoft to participate, and thanks to everybody on the call for your time. I think why participate is, I think the panelists have covered it so well. First on collaboration, right? The pure energy and passion that came into this space from everyone in the group was just fantastic to see, and you just can't match that by bringing the group of minds together. And at Microsoft, we kind of view our role as empowering people to do more with data. John said it really well. There's an opportunity now to really be both offensive and defensive with your data and really transform user experiences. But none of that can happen unless you've got a great framework to follow to make sure you're collecting, using data in a trustworthy manner. And so, we thought, what a great way by, collaborating, finding the inputs from folks across industry to try and make it so that all of our customers, our collective customers, can just do more with data and know they're doing it in a trustworthy way, and they're following a framework that's being kept up to date by an active community.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. So let's pivot to a perspective. There's some great opportunities and there's some key challenges in implementing cloud or hybrid cloud for every company. Balaji, if you had to pick just one or two that you think especially CDMC is going to help with, what's your take on that? And we'll take a minute with maybe one of the other panelists to answer that question before we move on to the next topic. Balaji, what's your take?
Yeah, I'll maybe break it into like three parts. One, I think where it's really been helping overcome the challenges, like integrating standards within the firm. Like internally within financial services firms, you see there's a lot of data silos. We're having different practices and also standards. So if you see that the chief data officer is trying to get their vision across, the application teams are looking at like, hey, what are the best practices in securing data, especially sensitive data? I think the framework actually brings all of these parties together with a regulatory perspective. So that's on one side. And the other thing is like there's so much change happening, right? Both from business and an opportunity perspective. The framework actually provides like actionable pieces, sticking to like basic principles that guide everything when everything is changing quickly. And then the third reason is financial services customers are at different stages of their cloud adoption. The CDMC provides kind of a capability maturity model from a data-centric view. So as customers have a lot of interest to move to the cloud, we heard that all along, they need a lot of guidance. A lot of these things are new to them. So with the maturity model, they know what good looks like and what they can do to get there more in a step-by-step and an iterative manner. So I think this is what is helping really overcome a lot of these challenges.
Great. Thank you, Balaji. Tony, do you want to add to that perspective from Balaji?
Absolutely. So look, I see it from a couple different perspectives. First is way we work with data today is very different. You mentioned, and a few others have mentioned that, we are accelerating the digital transformation. One horrible thing this horrible pandemic has done is force organizations to realize that if they don't have a digital operation, they're going to have other difficulties. So as many of our clients are moving quickly now towards digital rather than just thinking about it, but doing it, they're realizing that the usages of data is increasing because we're not in the traditional data warehousing world. There's many more needs and uses for data in the digital world. Yeah, BI is still around, but data science modeling, putting those models into digital channels, operational use cases. So there's many more use cases for data. These are creating new skill sets. At the same time, the way you engineer data for a data platform is very different than the way we did it for a data warehouse. And plus you're picking up and moving workload to the cloud. So you engineer data differently on a cloud than you would, for example, an old Teradata box. These new skill sets require new processes, new roles, new responsibilities, new interaction models with technologies that are very different. What this framework provides, the cloud data capability, this framework shows is a blueprint for an organization around data management, around data architecture, around data governance, that an organization that's struggling with that transformation of data to go to that is vendor neutral.
Great. Thanks, Tony. So let's get on to how this could be used within your organizations. And Mike, I'd like to start with you first, which is how do you see using the CDMC framework for supporting your clients and to accelerate their cloud journey?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think, to summarize it, it's as Tony was just saying, there's an immense amount of potential to leverage data in new ways. We've got more tools, they scale, and what we've been hearing is, if you're a data engineer, you're a data scientist, you're a data analyst, like life has never been more fun. You've got more data, you've got more tools, right? But there hasn't been a playbook for, how to think about managing your data, driving that digital transformation while doing it in a trustworthy way. There just hasn't been a playbook for that, into the cloud. And so there's a lot of questions that, customers would have, clients would have. And so being able to engage in something like the CDMC, do it where you've got inputs from all angles so that, ultimately customers have choice to select one technology, the other, know they're doing it, in a safe, trustworthy way. And again, I'll touch on it again with such an active community because, these technologies are changing rapidly, and having a community around that is, keeping up to date, we've just heard is foundational. So I think ultimately it's providing that playbook that has, just a ton of eyes on it, that has provided clients, I think, a sense of trust and when moving to the cloud.
Mike, great point. And I can share, as many of you involved with the workings of the full framework and the build out over the many months, is there were great debates, and you had some really exciting companies at the table, not just certainly cloud providers, major financial institutions, large consultancy firms. If this were easy to do, it wouldn't have taken a year and a half with all these meetings. So good news, the 165-page book is available as a free license to everyone, and it is that common playbook. So let me move that question now over to Everin at Google. So Everin, for your clients, how do you see CDMC supporting them and accelerating their cloud journey?
Like all the panelists are talking about, I think, it's not just helping our customers, but it helps also the cloud providers on this table as well.
Yep.
It's providing that guidance was really important for both sides. So if you look at it, for every company who's trying to do more on cloud, the certification, the assessments that we are going through with CDMC to understand their own level of maturity around data, handling data, and deeper and at a more objective level is going to be really important for them. And it will accelerate their digital transformation. It will really provide the guidance to the chief data officers, chief digital officers that they have in the areas of security, where they're all looking for at least keep it or make it better, speed in which they're applying it, and bring the scale from kind of a smaller approach to a very large industrial scales. They will be able to leverage this framework. And I think for us on the technology providers, it's really great to have these requirements, sort of the guardrails that we can actually all commonly implement. And this well-lit path to cloud will be really important for all the customers.
Yeah, I'm hearing, Everin, from you and what Mike and others have mentioned, this idea of a common playbook that allows companies to just go through the process, assess themselves, certify themselves, similar to whether it's an ISO audit or a SOC 2 audit. CDMC is designed to do that. It's to look at that full life cycle of data management in cloud and hybrid cloud and give you an auditable framework so you can make sure for your specific environment, you can do it with trust and meet all the jurisdictional requirements, which is great. Let's carry that along over to Balaji. Balaji, what's your take? You're in the field. You've seen clients dealing with these issues. How does AWS see CDMC helping your clients in their journey?
Yeah, CDMC framework is bringing the conversations to the front. Like Mike said, advanced capabilities and data and analytics exist. They're all there, but conversations kind of end up with, am I sure my data is protected adequately, right?
Yep.
Raising this up front with the full set of controls and how they are addressed is very important.
Yep.
So we can use the framework to actually like methodically work with our customers so that the controls are not like an afterthought. So I think that's the significant portion, like how we can actually leverage this framework. And overall, the awareness increases. Like more people are now aware in terms of saying like how they can actually like why should they protect data and what are the different steps to actually get there.
I'm almost hearing you say, Balaji, it demystifies the process to do this with confidence by having that common set of scores and focus on the key controls, as Ali mentioned at the beginning. This is a way now you can take on some really exciting projects and have fit for purpose entitlements and capabilities so you can have confidence to attack your cloud projects as opposed to wondering, did we miss something? And that speeds up the journey. So Tony, I guess over to you, and then we'll do a final wrap up because we're moving on to next panels. Tony, what's your take on how this CDMC framework helps IBM as you work with your clients in the cloud journey?
Really in two different ways. And the first way is a good way, and that is a client is going through their digital transformation. They're saying, we know we need to rethink our data strategy. It's more than just BI. What are the different things we need to think about? So we use this framework to show them how you should engineer your data, the organization you need to support it, the processes you need to support it. So data strategy and helping our clients with an industry benchmark on how they need to move towards is very valuable. The second is we have clients that say, hey, we have a problem here. We moved to the cloud, it's not working well. Can you give us an honest assessment? And we use this to assess, here's what you've done well, here's things you need to improve, and here's the benchmarks and the scoring to show you how to improve this. So that objectivity is incredibly important.
Yep. Great perspective of the sort of the independent way of validating, did we do all the things we needed to do to have confidence in our steps forward? So thank you very much to my panelists. Well, let's do some quick final takeaways. Mike, to our audience, thinking about their cloud world and CDMC, any final takeaway you'd like to share? And then we'll go with the other panelists to do that as well.
Sure. Yeah. Again, just thank you everybody for the time and collaboration. It's been fantastic. And I guess the final takeaway would be, if you haven't already, go, download the framework, have a read, get involved, it's a great way to build trust as you're leveraging the cloud capabilities. And so I just encourage everyone to get involved and, take a look at the framework.
Awesome. Tony, how about you?
Three words: common, consistent. Let's just use those two. Common, consistent industry approach is the best way to build your environment out, and it creates trust. So much of this is about how do you bring more trust to the cloud. Having a common framework will help you all do that.
Great. Thank you, Tony. On to Everin.
First, I want to thank you, Mike and John, and all the people on the council and the panel in here for their partnership. It's been an awesome experience. The collaboration was really great. For everyone else out there, look, CDMC provides the best practices for this well-lit path to cloud, enabling everyone a shorter journey to move, migrate, take advantage, really accelerate your digital transformation. The volume, variety, and velocity of the data will continue to increase. So for you to really have this mature cloud data management capability framework as part of your journey is priceless. Take advantage of it. We have established this common language across all the providers with best practices to really help you further and advance your journey for every industry player in here. We are looking forward to working with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Everin. And Balaji, for just the final remarks.
Yeah, I think we've been collectively working and shaping this CDMC framework. But I think the hard work has just begun because we want to embed these CDMC requirements into our services and solutions. You would have noticed, reInvent announced in December, there were a lot of things around data protection, data governance. We'll see more of that coming in the years. And the other thing is customers, I talked to a lot of customers and they're looking for assessment and guidance. I see a lot of that also coming up this year. I'm quite happy and excited that we are able to collectively guide our customers in their cloud journey. So I'm pretty excited that we have this and we are able to guide our customers.
Wonderful. Thank you, Balaji. And what I'd like to do is thank all of our panelists today. And Michelle, if you could just screen share for a moment, a couple of closing thoughts for everyone, and we're on to our next panel. And Ali, by the way, thank you for setting the context. I want to thank you, Richard Paris, who was your co-chair from Morgan Stanley, and also Jubair Patel, who was originally with Capco, but is a key executive at Microsoft today. Jubair was our executive, project executive throughout the life cycle with managing this. So a great team effort. Also for the audience, if you'd like to download, just go to the EDM Council website. It is a free license. It takes a minute to register so we can keep you posted. And we are going to continuously update. So CDMC continues with governance and updates, and CDMC Plus, new capabilities for offensive capabilities for cloud coming out later this year. So if you want to get on to your next panel, again, thanks to all of our panelists, great discussion. Here are the next two things coming. Option one is sharing data in an open world with data dynamics. Your other option, if you'd like, is to join a panel with OneTrust and Quantexa around sourcing trusted data to enable contextual decisioning for graph-based customer 360 insight. So welcome everyone to the event. Thanks to this wonderful panel, and on for the rest of the agenda for today. Enjoy the conference.